shouldn't have listened.
The mall. Fluorescent, the escalator was still running. That's the part I can't explain. It's been closed 5 years, condemned 3. Power's been cut since the last inspection. And yet, when I stepped into the atrium, I heard it. The slow mechanical whine of steps that moved for no one. It was going up. I'm a night guard. Was. Hired on a short contract to patrol Briarwood Plaza before the demolition crew came in. 1 week. Midnight to 6 a.m. Keep the squatters out. Make sure no kids break in for dares. Easy money. The building had been sitting empty so long it felt like a lung that forgot how to breathe. Every sound echoed twice, once from the concrete, and again from the years. I clocked in that night at 11:57 p.m. The manager's voice crackled over the radio. "Don't bother with level 3 tonight. We shut power to that sector. Just check the atrium, the north corridor, and the service exit." I said, "Copy," and the static answered, "Still open." Not his voice, just the radio glitching like a bad dream. The mall's entrance smelled of damp insulation and something sweet, maybe old perfume trapped in the air. Every sign, every storefront had faded into the same washed-out gray like ghosts of logos. Even the fountain at the center, the one that used to sing during the holidays, was dry now, coins welded to the stone by corrosion. I passed the food court, chairs overturned, tables stacked, but one tray, a single plastic tray, sat dead center with a crumpled napkin and half a soda cup. No dust on it. Someone's been here. The service lights blinked as if they were struggling to stay awake. Then I heard it. That slow, grinding sigh of rubber and metal. The escalator at the far end was moving. The power panel near the wall read offline, no breakers tripped, no hum from the mains. Just the escalator rolling, step after step, as if it refused to stop aging. I pulled out my flashlight. Beam cut across mannequin faces behind glass, half-dressed, tilted in frozen poses. Some of them wore store tags still hanging from their wrists like hospital bracelets. Every one of them faced the escalator. I called it in. "Control, it's 0041, escalator's powered. You want me to kill the line?" No response. Just faint static, then a voice, mine, whispered back. "Don't." The escalator groaned louder, like it recognized me. I reached for the emergency stop at the base. Cold, greasy, real. But when I pressed it, nothing changed. The steps just kept turning, endlessly feeding into darkness above. So I rode it. Every motion felt slower than it should be, like gravity was second-guessing itself. Halfway up, the air grew warmer, not colder, like someone had left a heater running upstairs. I looked over the rail and saw the floor below stretching away too far, the storefronts receding like a hallway in a bad dream. When I reached the top, the intercom clicked on by itself. "Briarwood Plaza is pleased to announce extended holiday hours." The voice was cheerful, hollow, like an old recording playing through a dying speaker. I hadn't heard that jingle since I was a teenager. I turned in circles trying to find the speaker. The sound came from everywhere. "Santa's workshop will be open until midnight." Midnight had passed, twice. The corridor ahead led to the glass atrium, the old heart of the mall. Skylights stretched 4 stories high, leaking in just enough moonlight to paint everything silver blue. And they were there, rows and rows of mannequins, gathered in the center like a congregation, some standing, some sitting, some headless, all facing the second-floor balcony, their white eyes fixed upward at something that wasn't there. like they were waiting for a performance to start. The floor around them glittered with bits of shattered glass and half-melted snowflake ornaments. I wanted to believe a prank crew had done this, a TikTok stunt maybe. But mannequins don't arrange themselves this precisely. They were spaced like an audience, measured to the inch. The sound of the escalator hadn't stopped. It just kept looping, feeding a rhythm under everything. The heartbeat for a building that should have been dead. I stepped between them, beam-crossing fabric torsos and hollow smiles. One mannequin wore a security jacket. My jacket. Even the patch had the same frayed edge from when I caught it on the fence 2 nights ago. What the hell? I reached for it. The mannequin's head turned toward me. It didn't move fast, just a tiny rotation, like it had been waiting for acknowledgement. The mouth line wasn't carved before. I swear it wasn't. Now there was a split in the plastic, faint but shaped like a smile. The intercom came alive again. Attention shoppers. Closing time is extended indefinitely. My flashlight flickered out. I stepped it, grabbed for my backup, and when it came on, the mannequins had changed. All of them now faced me. A sound, soft, like fabric stretching, rippled through the atrium. They were closer. The front row had inched forward, not walked, just adjusted. Stop. It came out of my throat, but I don't know who I was talking to. I turned. The escalator was still running, carrying nothing, yet somehow, each step creaked under weight. Something unseen was riding down toward me. The mannequins shifted again, all their heads tilting up to the balcony, then to the escalator, then, in perfect unison, to me. And that's when the power came back. Everything, every light, every store sign, all at once. The mall burst into full blinding color. Music playing, screens flashing, sale banners, food court machines whirring alive like the past had just pressed resume. And for half a second, I saw it. People. Actual people moving, shopping, laughing under fluorescent halos. But they were translucent, echoes flickering through their old loops. Every movement synced to the same rhythm as the escalator's heartbeat. When I blinked, they were gone. Only the mannequins remained, standing perfectly still again. Except for the one in my jacket. It was holding a radio. My radio. It clicked. My own voice delayed. Don't bother with level 3 tonight. Just check the atrium and the service exit. The mannequins turned their heads, every one of them toward the north corridor, where the service exit waited. I should have left, but I had to see what they were looking at. I see there. The escalator kept moving behind me, never stopping, whispering each metal step like the building's own breath. The mannequins all stared toward the north corridor. So did I. The sign over the hallway had lost half its letters. Management, Offi, Broadcast. The rest had fallen, leaving only the nail scars. Even stripped, it told me where I was going. The corridor air felt warmer, not comfort warm, body warm, as if the mall still remembered crowds and exhaled them at night. My radio was back on my belt even though I didn't lift it from the mannequin. I could feel its weight, familiar, like a hand on my hip. When I clicked it, I heard myself a half-beat late. Don't wander off. I didn't answer. I passed shuttered storefronts with papered windows, each paper the same beige, each edge curling like a sad smile. Foot Locker, Cinnabon, Kids Kingdom. Names that shouldn't matter but hit like smells from childhood. On the floor, I noticed faint lines in the dust, track marks, like heavy racks rolled and rolled back. They made lanes, converging like tributaries toward the atrium. Someone arranged those mannequins every night. Someone, or something, with itineration in its hands. A door at the corridor's end glowed around the jam with light that didn't belong to any modern bulb. Sickly film room amber. Broadcast, security, stenciled in black. I pushed. The broadcast floor was a museum of announcements. A wall of cassette decks, most broken. A micromixer with knobs smoothed by decades of fingers. 2 computers from 2 different eras. 1 CRT running a scheduler, and a newer tower beneath it with its faceplate missing like a tooth. Everything should have been dead. But the on-air sign above the window was lit. No way. The intercom crackled. "Attention shoppers, Briarwood Plaza is pleased to..." The word pleased stretched until it sounded like a whine. Pleased. Then it snapped back like tape finding its track. I stepped to the window. The glass looked into a tiny recording booth. A mic, a stool, a spare Santa hat crushed in a corner. The fader on the console moved by itself, sliding up to live. My own voice, right now, poured into the mall. My cadence delayed. No way. I watched the VU meters bounce to my breath. I lifted my hand. The needle lifted with it. I stopped breathing. The needle stuck, then drifted down like it missed me. On the desk, a binder sat open to a page labeled Holiday Rotation. Rows of copy I recognized from 20 Christmases. Extended hours. Pictures with Santa. Food court specials. Beside each line, a stamp that read, "Looped." Beside that, a tiny pencil note. "When crowd absent, use echo." Echo, I said aloud. The room answered by feeding my question to the mall at large, layered with a faint choir of itself. Echo of me. Echo. Echo. I turned to the CRT scheduler. The clock in the upper right corner read 12 o'clock. It did not change. Underneath, the program list scrolled on its own, highlighting items now, 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 like a calendar that refused tomorrow. At the bottom of the screen, a system message. If crowd not present, simulate. The mannequins moved in my head even if they hadn't yet. I hit the camera switcher on the security rack. Pure habit. 9 feeds flickered on. Most showed blank corridors and a sleeping food court. But Cam 2, Atrium, showed the mannequins rearranging. Not walking, jerking between frames. A stop-motion shuffle that made me nauseous. They pivoted in unison to face the balcony again. Row after row aligned, aisleways cleared, like a fire code learned by a population that doesn't burn. "Who's doing this?" I asked. The monitor in Cam 9, manager's office, answered. No person, just a swivel chair turning slowly, as if a meeting had never ended. I pressed the PA mic button. Its red eye woke. "You don't have an audience," I said into the foam windscreen. "There are no shoppers. There's..." The mall replied with crowd noise. Not loud, background levels. A politely bored murmur, shoe squeaks, a distant child's laugh that repeated every 9 seconds. Same timing, same sigh at the end. Under it, the escalator heartbeat kept time. On the wall, a corkboard map of Briarwood Plaza showed colored pins and yarn. Promotions, security sweeps, events. A red pin had been moved recently. The hole it left was fresh white. The pin sat now at North Balcony, thread running down into the atrium where the mannequins faced. a sticky note beneath it. Show, midnight. Someone had written midnight over and over until the ink cut the paper. Then in a different hand, lighter. If midnight passes, keep announcing until they arrive. I swallowed. They had arrived. Plastic shoulders, painted eyes. A congregation of almost. The radio on my belt clicked itself to life. My supervisor's voice, thin, wrong. Security to broadcast. Don't kill the loop. I thumbed the transmit. Who is this? Static. Then my own voice said, Showtime. I spun. No one. But the stool in the booth had moved a few inches. The Santa hat faced the mic like a tiny, obedient face. The on-air sign brightened. Fine, I said, hating the tremble in my throat. You want a crowd? You want extended hours? Let's announce something true. I held the PA button and forced the words out slow enough for the system to choke on them. Briarwood Plaza will never close. The VU meters leapt. The crowd loop cheered, canned and distant. Far away, something like plastic knuckles tapped the balcony rail in excitement. I let go of the button. Now let me go. The scheduler blinked. A new item slotted into the grid by itself. Security demonstration. Live. Under it, a subnote. Face the audience. Absolutely not. I backed toward the door. The latch stuck. On the glass to the booth, my reflection turned its head first. Then I followed. I hated that. The cam, too. Atrium feed brightened as if the mall had turned stage lights on. The mannequins had lifted their arms, palms up, as if offering, as if waiting for a line. I thumbed the radio to broadcast to myself. Sometimes you trick fear by making it a task. Control, if you're there, I'm on the broadcast floor. Systems are running themselves. The crowd noise is a loop. The audience is props. My voice came back a second later, filtered by the PA. The audience is props. The crowd loop laughed. The same child, the same 9-second sigh. A low bass rolled through the building, not music, more like the sub-bass of a cinema warming up. It made the glass shiver under my fingers. I could feel every hair on my arms lean the same way. A field under weather. The printer in the corner came alive. I didn't think a broadcast room needed a printer, but it spit out a program with blocky fonts and dated clip art. A stage, a smiling family. The tagline, "We're still open." Under featured speaker it listed, "Night security, live tonight, guaranteed appearance." No, I said too softly. The second sheet slid out. If speaker fails to appear, use archive. Use archive. Footsteps approach in the hall, not mine, rubber soles, then stop. I held my breath. The escalator hum swelled like an inhale and then stopped. It had never stopped. Silence in a place like this feels like altitude. Then, as if the building didn't want me to notice the one quiet thing, the intercom filled it with the faintest whisper. Face them. I turned the Cam 2 monitor back up. The mannequins had all taken one step forward. In the second row, one blinked. Not a twitch, not a settling of plastic. A blink. The lids had no hinges. It blinked anyway. A smear of dust marked its cheek like mascara run by a tear that never fell. I hit the master fader down in a surge of anger I did not expect. The crowd cut, the mall breathed. For a second, nothing imitated life. It was quiet. A new sound replaced it. Children's choir, far away, warped. Briarwood keeps the lights aglow. Stay a while, don't ever go. The cassette deck D3 had engaged itself. Its label, handwritten, Holiday 98, Master. The tape stuttered, then ran smoother, as if the machine remembered the loop better than I did. I said no! I ripped the cassette out. The tape snagged and spilled into my palm like black-ribboned hair. The choir chopped to silence. On cam 2, the mannequins lowered their arms. Slowly. Not disappointment. Calibration. My radio hissed, then dumped a voice I didn't know I could make. You asked for easy money. I didn't press transmit. The building had learned me anyway. I ran a hand across the console. Dust lifted, settled in the light. On the far side, a toggle I hadn't noticed sat beneath a yellowed label. Gallery feed. Not food court, not atrium, not security. Gallery, like a theater. I flipped it. The on-air light flickered. My own face looked back at me from an ancient CRT in the booth. Not live, not exactly. Half a heartbeat late. Behind me, reflected small in the glass, a crowd stood. Not mannequins, not people. A composite. Glare and posture and memory composited into a shape you'd believe in if you needed to. They stood where the mannequins stood, wearing expressions that mannequins don't have. Expectation, hunger, boredom sharpened. I killed the toggle. The feed persisted 2 seconds, then popped out like a bubble. In those 2 seconds, I on the screen raised my hand. I in the room had not. When my hand finally rose, helplessly following, the screen version had already lowered theirs. Okay, I whispered, because some confessions are contracts. I'll go to the balcony. The scheduler dinged. Live segment confirmed, 00:59. The clock still said 12. I left the broadcast floor. The mall's sound returned in layers, the escalator groaning back to life, the faint crowd bed, the choir trying to restart without its tape. As I reached the rail, the mannequins turned to face me with the choreography of a stadium wave slowed down for a dream. Down below in the atrium, the empty fountain waited like a stage pit. On the far side, the escalator delivered nothing to the ground and received nothing from above with priestly patience. Attention shoppers! My voice boomed from every grill and speaker and hollow vent, without my mouth moving. Intercom, my cadence, cheerful. We're pleased to announce a very special guest. I gripped the balcony rail until my knuckles hurt. The mannequins tipped their heads back, jaws angled in a way that suggested applause without the noise. One raised the security radio, my radio, and held it toward me like a microphone. Down in the atrium, the lights dimmed to a theater hush. A lone spot from the ceiling found the patch of floor directly under the balcony where I stood. Dust swam inside it like snow. Don't, I said. Not to them, to the mall, to whatever wrote schedules after closing. Don't make me perform. The intercom whispered back, my voice empty of me. Just face them. I did. The crowd loop faded until only the escalator heartbeat remained. For the first time since I'd arrived, it felt like the building waited for my rhythm. I took a breath that was mine, slow, uneven, human, and said the first true thing I could wedge into the script. I am not here to keep you open. Something changed, not in the mannequins, in the roof. A faint tremor flickered through the skylight, like thunder far, far away, or demolition charges being measured. The on-air sign down the hall clicked off, just the tiniest click. The lights held, the escalator kept breathing, and from somewhere in the mall where I couldn't see, a curtain rustled. The mannequins didn't clap. They didn't have to. They leaned, not forward, not back, inward, as if hearing a secret. The show was about to start. It had always been about to start. I felt a draft at my ankles, cold and raw, like a door to the outside world had cracked open behind me. I didn't turn. So the balcony rail dug crescents into my palms. Down in the atrium, the mannequins waited with the patience of display glass. The on-air sign had clicked off, but the show hadn't. I could feel it. A charge in the skylight, a hush staged over emptiness, our breaths braided around a machine that pretends to inhale. "I'm not your host," I said. Too soft for a crowd, just loud enough for a building. The intercom borrowed my tone and polished it. "Tonight's special guest, your host." No. A draft licked my ankles. Somewhere behind me, a door to the outside world had cracked. I didn't turn. I knew the rule by now. The first to face the wrong thing loses. Down below, the mannequins tilted all at once, not toward me this time, but toward the north corridor, as if the stage cue had changed, as if something off stage had lifted its hand. Footsteps, soft, uncountable, not mine. The crowd bed swelled to cover the sound, that canned murmur, the 9-second child's laugh, the polite squeak of shoes that belonged to ghosts of shoppers. Under it, the escalator heartbeat kept perfect time. "Face them," whispered the intercom. My voice emptied of me. I did, because refusal had become a kind of performance too. "Briarwood Plaza will never close," the intercom announced again, a line I'd fed it earlier like bait. The mannequins didn't clap. Their hands aren't built to. Instead, the second row leaned, not forward, inward, as if a secret passed from earless head to earless head and came out in expectation. That's when the archive began. A speaker above the skylight clicked on with a room tone I knew from the broadcast floor. Barely audible hiss, like a tape pre-rolling. Then I heard me in a voice made of older air, a half-beat early. "When the lights dim, you'll see it." The atrium lights obeyed the sentence I hadn't said yet. They sank to theater hush, revealing the dust in the spot like snow falling up. My throat closed. "I don't have any more lines," I said, to the rail, to my fingers, to the part of me that wanted to sing along. The archive found them anyway. "Intercom, you do. I hate that sound." Your own voice stretched to fit a space it never meant to fill. It makes your bones ring. I pulled my radio, thumbed transmit like a relic. "Control, if you're out there. Power's live without power. The audience is props. The script." The radio bled silence back at me, a smooth, surgical blank. Then it whispered my own breath into my ear half a second late. "Fine. New plan." I left the balcony and took the service stair. The air in those back hallways always smells like damp cardboard and old gum. Tonight it smelled like film, celluloid warmed by a bulb. At the first landing, I found a door stenciled "electrical" in flaking paint. Someone had taped over the keyhole with a store coupon for 40% off. "Grand reopening," the fine print lied. My key worked anyway. Inside, panels, breakers, fat cables like muscles under skin. Most levers were already down, dead. But a narrow row in the center glowed with a meek, stubborn green. "Gallery feed, aux." A handwritten note in pencil beside it. "If midnight passes, keep announcing until they arrive." I flipped aux down. The crowd stopped. The escalator did not. Boots on tile, soft, careful, multiplied. not mine, coming down the corridor toward the electrical room. "Go away," I said. A prayer, a command, a tiny joke. The archive answered for the approach. Intercom, my cadence, polite. Security demonstration begins in 1 minute. I flipped gallery feed down. The on-air bulb died somewhere far above. And then across the room, because the mall refuses to have a single heart, a completely unlabeled breaker clicked itself up. The crowd noise returned, thinner but hungrier, like listening through a wall that doesn't mind you. On the wall, a taped schematic fluttered in HVAC breath. A rectangle of the atrium, the little box that was my balcony. A triangle labeled Stage Pit where the fountain used to be. A red pen had circled Service Exit and written, "Bring him here." Him. It stung anyway. I left the breakers and ran the service corridor toward the north doors. The exit bars were chained from the outside. New chain, still oily. Someone would call that security. It felt like a tourniquet. Behind me, a chorus of small plastic touches began. Palms on glass, wrists brushing sleeves, the shh, shh, shh of mannequin steps, too light to be human but too rhythmic to be wind. Fabric and plastic brushing. "Don't follow," I said, angry now, voice shaking. "I am not staying. I am not your intercom," my cadence, gentle. "Host." I turned and finally did the wrong thing. I looked. They had not walked. The mall would never let itself be that honest. But the formation had resorted, aisles narrowing, bodies closer. Herding without moving, a geometry of compliance. A mannequin in my security jacket stood at the front with my radio outstretched like a microphone. Behind them, at the mouth of the atrium, the escalator stopped mid-step, and the step buckled a fraction under weight that wasn't there. I had one tool left, not strength, not keys, script. I lifted my radio and pressed transmit hard enough to hurt. "Attention shoppers," I said, and made sure the intercom could hear me. "For your safety, Briarwood Plaza is now closed." The archive paused. The crowd bed dulled like a hand over a mouth. Lights along the second floor dimmed in a wave, as if circuits obeyed muscle memory. The mannequins didn't move. "For fire code compliance," I added, "please proceed to the nearest exit." The service exit bar did not release. But somewhere a magnet thunked. The south doors rolled an inch. The mannequins' heads pivoted toward that sound. A tiny part of the building wanted to believe me. "Now," I said, "lights out." The atrium skylight flickered, then held. I heard the broadcast floor wake again in the walls, a fader sliding, a tape spooling. "We're pleased to announce—" "Stop," I snapped. "The show is over." The crowd bed collapsed into a pure tone. Not loud, a pressure change, like altitude making your ears ache. The escalator restarted to cover it, a gentler hum, apologetic. "Let me go," I said. "I'm not part of this." On the second floor, the gallery feed CRT flickered to life, a little square window in the dark. It showed the balcony rail, lit like a stage lip. It showed me standing there. I was in the service corridor. The other me raised his hand. I felt the urge to follow, a tick in the tendon, and didn't. The screen version of me spoke into the mall that did not need me anymore. Intercom, my cadence, warm. "We're still open. Use the archive," read the note. And so it did. The mannequins softened, their angles warming into the kind of attention only living audiences give. Somewhere in the broadcast floor, a cassette took a breath and spun. The show ran without me and with me, like an understudy wearing my mouth. I did something mercy small. I walked back to the atrium edge and set my keys on the marble lip of the dead fountain. Bright metal teeth in the spotlight. A ritual, an animal returning what's bitten it. In the second row, a mannequin blinked again. A soft scrape of dust over painted eye as if the air itself smoothed it. "Take them," I said, not sure to whom. "Lock the doors yourselves." The escalator sighed. The crowd loop found its volume again, lower now. A night shift crowd, polite and endless. The intercom became breath and said with my cadence gone quiet inside it, "We can cover you." "I know," I said. "That's the part that scares me." I walked the songway out, not the chained door, not the glass revolving that had forgotten day, but the loading bay, where air smells like rain that never reaches customers. The roll-up door didn't fight. It lifted a foot, then two, then enough to crawl under. Outside, 3 o'clock, that wasn't a number on a scheduler. Night, the mall hadn't bought. The city made the quiet noises of being asleep without anyone selling it. On the sidewalk, I turned once, finally, toward the atrium skylight. Behind the glass, something moved, like a curtain. The on-air sign in the distant hallway blinked on, off, on, like an eyelid practicing. And in my pocket, the radio warmed. I didn't lift it. It spoke anyway. My cadence, far. "Security to broadcast. Copy that. We'll keep the loop." "I'm off shift," I said to the wind. It did not argue. I got home and set my radio on the table, battery out. At 12 o'clock, the microwave clock blinked. It always blinks. At 12 o'clock, the laptop clock did not. At 12 o'clock, my phone, dead since the broadcast, lit once, briefly, with a notification that had no app name. "We're still open." I put on the kettle and didn't drink the tea. I stood at the window and looked for a mall I couldn't see. Somewhere, a plastic palm dampened in recycled air. Somewhere, an escalator remembered how to be a heart. When I finally turned off my lights, the apartment went dark in a human way. Sudden, clumsy. Across the room, the blank TV screen held a reflection of me at the balcony rail, for a moment longer than it should have. I stood still. The reflection tilted first. I didn't follow. Fade to intercom hiss, then a far, polite mall jingle. "Stay a while, don't ever go.